Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs facing more time behind bars. His release date pushed back to June of 2028 instead of May of that same year.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs was supposed to be quietly working his way toward a release date in 2028. Instead, his time behind bars is already getting messier. There are reports of hidden alcohol, forbidden three-way calls, and a prison system that might be getting tired protecting him. But if Jaguar Wright is right, the real story didn't start at Fort Dix. It started decades ago with a forgotten inmate, sealed transcripts, and an incident report that actually names Diddy as the assailant. And that's where things go from scandal to straight-up sinister. We usually hear justice for Diddy from fans who think the courts went too far. Jaguar flips that question completely. For her, the real mystery is how he got away with so much for so long, and how another man ended up paying the price.
I don't know if that's even possible. Because if he was able to pull this off before he was a billionaire, look at what we got going on now. Derek replies, "This is illegal." And Sean Combs, Kim Elworthy are all behind this, and you're going to just sit there and let this happen, Your Honor. And the judge says, gotta pay the bills somehow.
Right there, you hear the tone. She's not wondering if Diddy's innocent. She's wondering if real justice is even possible when a judge can allegedly tell Derek in open court, "You've been framed," and then send him straight back to a prison cell anyway. And she knows people call her crazy, paranoid, obsessed, so she leans into it.
What they want you to do is they want you to hammer me, and they want you to pressure me, and they want you to try to put me in the grinder and see if I'll fall apart. And guess what? Welcome it. Please do.
Jaguar isn't trying to sound safe. She's daring people to press her because she says what she's holding can't be buried anymore. According to Jaguar, the key to everything is a simple, boring document most people would never look twice at, an incident report from the late 90s in Detroit. On the surface, it's just another case file. But she says when you look at who's named inside and what kind of evidence is attached, you start to understand why so many powerful people would want it forgotten.
The incident report identifying Sean.
She claims that document literally identifies Sean Combs as the assault suspect and that there was a GRP kit tying someone's DNA to a male victim. She says she uploaded everything for protection to records while the rest of the world was hypnotized by what she calls a sham of a public trial meant to make it look like Diddy was finally being held accountable. Now, to be clear for viewers, mainstream media have covered Derek's civil lawsuit and the briefly granted $100 million default judgment against Diddy, but they haven't published this exact forensic detail. That DNA found inside a man line is Jaguar's explosive claim, and the reason this story hits so hard online. From there, she moves from paperwork to the man who says he took the fall. Derek Lee Cardell Smith isn't some internet rumor. He's an actual inmate who has spent decades inside. And he's the one who filed that civil suit claiming Diddy harmed him back in 1997, and that the world just ignored it. Jaguar says the court transcript doesn't just show a defendant complaining. It shows a man begging a judge to admit what everyone in that room allegedly already knew.
Defendant Derek Cardell Smith said, "Your Honor, I want to say this much. My mother is going to have to hear me say lies. And then she's going to think that I'm this type of person that I'm not. I'm not this kind of man that you people are forcing me to be. I want it to be clear that you can say on the record that I am a man who defended a woman and myself, and that I am being framed for multiple crimes that I am innocent of, and you know it, and are still forcing me into this with your full knowledge. Are you man enough to say that on this court record, sir?" And the judge's response is, "I am more than man enough to say so. Everything you said, I adopt on the record as true. You are not a rapist. You have been framed. And it was all done on our approval, and most especially on the approval of Kim L. Worthy. Are you happy now? Derek responds, hopefully one day this will all come out. The judge says, not today. Take him back.
You hear Derek saying he's not the kind of man the state is trying to turn him into, that he defended a woman and himself, and is being forced into lies with the court's full knowledge. Then, according to Jaguar, you hear something even crazier. The judge agreeing with him, admitting he's been framed, saying it's all been done with their approval, and especially with the approval of prosecutor Kim Worthy, and then after all that, saying, not today, take him back. It sounds unreal, like something written for a movie, but Jaguar insists that's exactly what's sitting in those transcripts. And as wild as that is, she's not finished. Jaguar says injustice didn't stop with that one hearing. It followed Derek every time he got close to the door.
Derek replies, this is illegal, and Sean Combs against him.
She claims every time Derek was up for parole, Kim Worthy could reach for one of those old grits and throw it at him again just to keep him locked in. She connects that to the civil case that finally bubbled up into the headlines. The inmate who sued for $100 million, and at least for a moment actually won. For a lot of people, that story was just noise in a sea of lawsuits. But Jaguar points out it was the only one where Diddy actually lost, even if it was only by default. And that leads into her bigger question. When people type justice for Diddy online, what does justice look like to Derek, the man she says got buried so the star could shine? Jaguar doesn't just frame Derek as a victim. She paints him as someone with a massive hidden financial stake.
He was actually an investor in Bad Boy. And they've been keeping him monkeyed up in jail all of this time, so they ain't gotta pay him.
Hell, I want to know what justice for Derek looks like right now. Jeez. Hell.
He's entitled to 49% of whatever Combs Enterprise has amassed in the past 30 years. Almost 30 years. That's what he's entitled to. He already won a $100 million judgment. See, this is what was going on in the background while whatever that foolishness we just watched happen was happening. This was all going on in the background. It's starting to make you wonder if that trial happened to cover this up. Everything that they've done to ruin it so people would never believe a word that came out of his mouth. See, when you start here with these transcripts from 1998, which were sealed and then unsealed in 2007 and then sat there in the clerk's office and nobody knew about it because nobody knew to come and get it. Nobody knew where to get it. Different names on the same case number. They thought they were clever.
She claims Derek was actually an investor in Bad Boy, that they kept him up in prison so nobody would have to cut him a check, and that he's entitled to 49% of whatever Combs' empire has built over nearly 30 years. In her version, that $100 million judgment wasn't just some random number on paper. It was a crack in the wall, a sign that everything going on in the background might finally burst into the open. Then she drops one more detail. Those transcripts, she says, were sealed in 1998, unsealed in 2007, and just left to gather dust in the clerk's office under different names on the same case number, so nobody would know where to look. They thought they were clever. She thinks they got sloppy. If you're wondering where Diddy's powerful legal team fits into this, Jaguar has an answer for that, too. And it isn't flattering.
You sitting here talking to me about these weird old lawyers, including Mark Agnifilo. You want to know what's funny? While Mark Agnifilo was sitting there making fun of baby oil and doing all of the stuff that he was doing in court and creating all of that nice guy hoopla, trying to get everyone to believe that Diddy is not such a terrible person and now he's a wonderful man and he deserves to go back to Madison Square Garden and he's going to be right there to cheer him on. Do you want to know where else he was? In Wayne County, negotiating with Derek Lee Cordello Smith.
Wow.
His victim.
Wow.
Why would he be in negotiations with him if he actually believed that everything that he said in that courtroom was true?
Sounds like a fixer.
Sounds like a fixer. A liar.
While Mark Agnifil was on TV and in court talking like Diddy deserved to go back to Madison Square Garden, Jaguar says he was also in Wayne County quietly negotiating with Derek behind the scenes. The host calls what it sounds like not just a lawyer, but a fixer, and she claims Diddy himself didn't just send lawyers. He showed up.
Diddy was mean. What do I think about the powers that be? What you want me to think?
Oh, wait. What made you find this rabbit hole to go down, and how many more rabbit holes do you believe there are?
Oh. See. I live in the rabbit hole. I don't believe in what everybody else believes in. I'm telling you something right now. When you got court officials that's sitting in court, they so brazen that they're actually threatening people.
That's very brazen.
Do you see how this is going to go?
According to Jaguar, Diddy went to visit Derek in 2020 for using the name John Smith with Brother Love Energy, checking in his clergy so nobody would realize who he was. She says this happened just days before federal agents raided his properties. Then she explains why she's so deep into this. She lives in the rabbit hole. She doesn't believe what everyone else believes. And she says, when court officials are so bold they're openly threatening people in the courtroom, you're looking at a machine that doesn't even bother hiding anymore. The question is, if all of that is happening in the background, what's happening to Diddy right now where everyone can see? On paper, Fort Texas was supposed to be Diddy's shot at doing his time quietly and getting home earlier. A specialized rehab program, a chance to prove he's sober, and the possibility of shaving months off his sentence. Instead, the headlines say he's already in hot water for breaking some of the strictest rules in the federal system.
Combs' representative Judah Engelmeyer telling me by phone earlier today, Tom, that yes, a three-way call was made between one of Combs' lawyers, who did bring in another person on that call with Combs while he has been at Fort Dix, but that there was nothing improper about it. But again, that is not something that you were supposed to do at all. So those lawyers should have known better. As for drinking, he doubled down and said that Combs was not drinking and that, in fact, he's been admitted into this very specialized rehab program that Fort Dix offers. Is actually going to potentially lower his sentence. Yeah. He could be released earlier because of that. So they're saying he's done nothing wrong and that any reports that he has been drinking is completely not true.
Sarah, you know, after his trial, a lot of people said he got a legal victory. It looked like he was going to be on his way out in a couple of years. How far back does this set him now?
Well, we don't know yet, Tom, because you still have due process rights in prison, right? So there's going to be an incident report if he, in fact, was drinking or there's an allegation. Then he's going to go to hearing. And if he's found guilty of it, then there's going to be sanctions. The sanctions could be that he could essentially be thrown in the hole, the SHU, the special housing unit. He could lose his privileges, and he could lose at least a minimum of 40 days of time credits, which is big. And I want to say this. Drinking in a BOP facility is as serious as committing murder in a BOP facility.
Is it really?
Yeah. As of 2020, the BOP changed the rules and reclassified drinking as one of the most severe charges in custody.
Here, the reporter explains that Diddy's own rep Judah Engelmeyer, admits a three-way call was made. One of his lawyers pulled another person onto the line while Diddy was at Fort Dix. That alone is a big no-no in BOP facilities. Engelmeyer insists Diddy hasn't been drinking and that he's in a special rehab program that could actually lower his sentence. But if the prison decides he did drink or broke rules, there'll be an incident report, a hearing, and punishment, time in the SU, lost privileges, and at least 40 days of good time credits gone. The wild part, the reporter says drinking is now treated almost like murder in a federal facility. If he really did it, it's not a small slip, it's a game share, and it might not be the only thing working against him. While the prison system decides what really happened inside Fort Dix, prosecutors and politicians are watching what Diddy does outside those walls too, especially on paper.